Hello, welcome to the European Open briefing for Friday, August the 25th. I'm Rafi Barjan, currency analyst at XM.com, and we're going to be having a look at what's happening in the currency markets today. So most major currencies are fairly steady this morning ahead of the key speeches by Janet Yellen and Mario Draghi at the Jackson Hole Symposium in Wyoming. The dollar is actually firmer. It's set to make gains for a second straight day, although its gains are being capped by political uncertainty in the US as Trump steps up his attacks against Congress and the Republicans. Looking at commodity currencies, Canadian dollar is the strongest as it trades near 3-week highs against the US dollar. But let's start now with the greenback. We can see in the chart that against the yen, dollar came close to hitting 109.80. It currently is back a little bit to around 109.60. The dollar index isn't up as much, although it is up on the day. It's currently trading at 93.30. The main focus today will be Janet Yellen as she makes her keynote speech at Jackson Hole. We're also going to have Mario Draghi speaking at the event. Neither central bank heads are expected to give any new policy messages, although any comments on inflation will be closely scrutinized as this may give some indication to future monetary policy. We've already had a couple of Fed speakers at the event. Kansas Fed President Esther George, who's hosting the event, said that she still sees another opportunity for a rate hike this year, maintaining that the Fed should continue with gradual rate hikes. Although she is not a voting member this year, Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan actually gave opposing views. He said that the Fed should be patient and wait for more evidence of that inflation is rebounding. But there's been some uncertainty relating to President Trump. Early in the week, he had made a speech in Arizona saying that he would rather see U.S. government shutdown if Congress doesn't give funding for his proposed Mexican wall. And yesterday, he stepped up those attacks against Congress. He accused the Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Representative Speaker Paul Ryan of creating a mess because apparently they didn't follow his advice to link the legislation regarding raising debt ceiling with another bill that was passed early this month. Congress has until the end of September to discuss new spending plans and avoid a government shutdown. Otherwise, it could lead to the US defaulting on government debt. This has led to a bit of a spike in 2- and 5-year US Treasury yields. We can see in the chart here that 2-year Treasury yields have risen to above 1.30%. And this has also been providing some support to gold prices. We can see gold up here in the chart. It's been fairly steady this week, fairly neutral in fact, after hitting a 9-month high of 1,300 last Friday. And although we've seen a significant easing of tensions relating to North Korea, political uncertainty in the US has provided good support, about 1,280. Other safe havens have also eased back this week. The yen is set for its worst weekly loss in 2 months. There was little reaction earlier in the day to Japanese inflation data. Annual CPI in Japan hit a 7-month high. It rose for the 7th month in a row to 0.5%. That was the highest in 2.5 years. Although that is good progress, it's still far distant from the Bank of Japan's 2% target. Let's have a look at the euro and the pound now, because at least for the euro, there's a lot of interest to what Mario Draghi will be saying later in the day. Although given that the next ECB meeting is on September the 7th, he's unlikely to make any policy announcement today. But nevertheless, given the quiet week we're having, it's likely to get a lot of market attention. Euro dollar in the middle here has been rather steady this week, although it did dip below the 1.18 handle at the start of European trading. The pound hasn't been faring as well. We can see euro pound that hit a 10-month high on Wednesday, and euro dollar hit a 2-month low, 1.2770 yesterday. We had the GDP second estimate revisions yesterday for the second quarter. Those came in line with expectations, but the details of the release showed that both consumer spending and business investment were fairly flat in the second quarter, as the uncertainty starts to impact business decision making, as well as, of course, higher inflation hitting UK consumers. Looking at commodity currencies now, we can see bit of a deviation between the Aussie, the Kiwi, and the Loonie. The Kiwi and the Aussie actually both have been hit by some political uncertainty in both Australia and New Zealand. In Australia, there's some controversy regarding dual citizenships, which is illegal if you're a politician, and several senior politicians have come out to say that they in fact hold dual citizenships with New Zealand. And in New Zealand, we have elections coming up in September, which is proving to be a very tight race, and the current ruling National Party is at risk of losing to the Labour Party. And we also had downgrade of GDP forecasts for New Zealand. Kiwi slid to 2-month low yesterday, whereas the Aussie fell to 1-week low. The Loonie, on the other hand, is at a 3-week high against the US dollar, and this rise for the Loonie comes despite oil prices lacking direction this week. They've been up and down, but pretty much trading in a range. Let's have a look at today's economic calendar. We can see the Japan data there. We also had the second estimate of German GDP, which was confirmed at 0.6%. We also had import prices, which fell unexpectedly in July. Coming up shortly, we're going to have German IFO business survey, followed by durable goods data out of the US. But the focus, of course, will be Fed Chair Janet Yellen's speech at 14 hours GMT, and Draghi is expected to give his speech at 19 hours GMT. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.